Thanks again, everybody, for joining us for our National Small Business Week conversation focused on manufacturing. I have Rahama Wright with us tonight. She is CEO of Yeleen Beauty. That both includes her business, Shea Yeleen, a fair trade shea butter business that she's run for a number of years, and the Yeleen Makerspace, which is a manufacturing facility for entrepreneurs that we're all excited to hear more about. She has a lot of experience as an entrepreneur manufacturing and on the other side as an actual facility that works with entrepreneurs. And so I think we have a lot to learn from her and her journey. Rahma, thank you for joining us this evening. Happy National Small Business Week. To start with, give us a quick overview of your business and your story.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brandon, for having me. Happy Small Business Week. Small businesses are the engine behind any successful economy. So it's really
Mm-hmm.
exciting to support the businesses that make our communities and our country great. So, as you said, my name is Rahama. I'm the founder of the Yeleen Beauty Makerspace. I run my own line, Shea Yeleen. I started in my entrepreneurial journey after serving in the Peace Corps and seeing a lot of issues around women, their ability to take plant-based ingredients within their villages and transform them into value-added products. So that led me down this journey of starting my own line that ethically sources ingredients from women, like shea butter. Everyone knows about shea. And
Mm-hmm.
we create an entire line of products that we then sell to US distributors, retailers, and through our business model, we're able to increase women's income 5 times their country's minimum wage. And so that business is what led me to start and launch the Yeleen Beauty Makerspace. Because one of the things I discovered running my own line and creating my own products was the difficulty and challenges and being able to partner with the right manufacturing partner as a small business. Manufacturing in beauty is incredibly difficult. It is an area where if you don't already have a large business, it's very difficult to find a partner that is willing to work with a business that's doing small volume. And many small businesses don't have the ability to make large amounts of products, especially when they're first starting out. And I'm talking about making 10,000 units of the same product, 25,000 units. And even if you can
Mm-hmm.
find a manufacturer that's willing to do lower volumes are typically about 5,000 units of product. So still,
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge, huge barrier. And right before COVID, my manufacturing partner I'd worked with for years went out of business. So I
Mm.
had to start all over again. So not only the impacts of COVID and how that affected my business, but I also had to start looking at how to find and identify a new partner in manufacturing. And so that led me down this journey of figuring out not only how to solve my problem, but also develop
Mm-hmm.
a facility and a space to solve other folks' issues when it comes to accessing manufacturing solutions for beauty businesses.
Wow, wow. Well, I can't imagine having everything else going on during COVID and then having your manufacturer go out of business and having to navigate that in addition to figuring out, where am I going to live and are we safe and all of those other pieces. I know entrepreneurs all over the country, all over the world were doing the same thing, figuring out how do I continue to run the business? Plus, how do I take care of myself and my family? So kudos to you for being able to navigate that pivot. And the issue that you mentioned with manufacturing for smaller companies is a real one. It's something that I have seen over and over again as I've been doing casting for Shark
Yeah.
Tank and working with entrepreneurs for a number of years. I very often see these businesses that get some great initial traction. They have a really unique product, they have a compelling story, they're able to connect with the audience, and they get this great consumer demand. And unfortunately, that demand very quickly outstrips their ability to be able to actually make the product in their home, in their kitchen, in their garage, the American story, that American dream story.
Mhm.
But as you said, the MOQ, so the minimum order quantity, for a lot of manufacturing facilities and co-packers is still too high for entrepreneurs to be able to actually afford to be able to get the product and meet the demand. And so sometimes that stunts the growth of a business. And sometimes people just have to go out of business because they're just not able to actually fulfill orders. So not lack
Yeah.
of demand in the market, but not being able to fulfill orders. And so I think it's great that you've created this facility that is going to speak to that need. Now, as you think about your journey as an entrepreneur in manufacturing, are there any things that you wish you had known back then that you might give as tips to entrepreneurs who are exploring, how do I scale my manufacturing today?
Yeah, no, you made some amazing points and really talked about the realities. It's truly challenging and difficult finding the right manufacturing partner. And many small businesses are kind of left on their own, especially in
Hmm.
the beauty space. In the food space, we see commercial kitchens everywhere. So food entrepreneurs have access to kitchens that they can utilize to make whatever product that they're bringing to market, whether it's coffee, cookies, granola. There's a huge long list, right? In beauty, we just don't have that. We don't have those spaces. We don't have the ability to access the facilities that we need to make our products.
Hmm.
And so, for individuals who are trying to grow out of their home kitchens or their home basements and really want to identify the right manufacturing partner, a couple of things that I would advise them on is visit the location, check it
Hmm.
out. Don't sign on that dotted line until you've actually seen the space and you know the
Hmm.
capabilities of the facility that you're going to partner with. Don't be afraid to ask questions, right? Meaning, what are the procedures and processes that that facility undertakes? What are some of the things that they do in terms of in-house testing, right? How much of that testing is done in-house? How much of it is done externally to that facility? And then really try to identify a partner that understands where your business is at and wants to work with you to help you grow your business. If
Hmm.
you want to have a long-term relationship with a facility, it can't be one of those situations where you're just sending in orders and it's kind of like when you
Hmm.
get your products, it's over. You really
Hmm.
want to have a partnership where you have open communication, where they understand what you're trying to do with your business, how big you're
Hmm.
trying to make your business, and what are some of the resources and opportunities that they can provide for you while you're working with them to make products. But there could be, for example, some cost cutting measures they can provide you depending
Hmm.
on the scale of their own operations. And so those are just very generally high level advice I would give to someone who's looking for the right manufacturer.
Yeah, that sounds like great advice. And let me dig in here a little bit. You mentioned testing. And so
Yeah.
when you say testing, do you mean like clinical testing to make sure that the, quality is there, or do you mean like testing for a new product before, I guess, doing a larger order? Are you talking about both, or is there one in particular?
Yeah, well, it depends on the size of the facility you're working with and how they want to partner with you. As we've both shared, it's really hard to find a facility that will do lower production runs. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely, before you do a huge run of products, you want to make sure that there is a customer for that product, that you know who that customer is, the target audience. I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming all of that work has already been done. If that work
I
hasn't
got you.
been done, that definitely needs to happen before you even place an order. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking about the facility, I'm talking about clinical testing. I'm talking
I
about
got you.
laboratory testing. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, being able to do micro testing, being able to do stability testing, being able to do shelf life testing. Those are just
Mm.
three standard tests that a facility should be able to offer you. Or if they can't offer you, they have partners that provide those testing for their clients.
I got you. I got you. Well, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, let's talk a little bit more about your facility and how it differs, or how, entrepreneurs may be able to connect with, local facilities like yours. What are you offering that's different from a larger co-packer or traditional manufacturer?
Well, I'm so happy you asked me, Brandon. So, our facility is that one stop shop designed for early stage beauty entrepreneurs who are just starting out. And that's what makes
Mm-hmm.
it unique. Our entire model with our makerspace is to help entrepreneurs who typically have a hard time finding manufacturing partners. So we've designed a facility that is optimal for doing small run manufacturing. So doing small
Mm-hmm.
batches, doing micro batches. And that was very intentional because we know there's a lot of white space in this area, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
tons of manufacturers that are in place to help the medium-sized businesses, the large businesses. We have almost nothing for small businesses. And as
Mm-hmm.
we said at the top of this conversation, small businesses drive the economy. And so to be able to have a facility that has a teaching laboratory, shared workstations where entrepreneurs can come in, make their products in house, do micro and small batching, that doesn't exist in many
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing facilities. And then we also have the capabilities and the back part of our facility, the back of the house, where we can do larger production runs. So 2,500 units, really less than that 5,000 units that you see with
Mm-hmm.
manufacturers that say that they're catering to small business. Well, many of
Mm-hmm.
those people can't even hit those targets. So our whole model is how can we create a facility that has all the tools and resources, the in-house experts, a cosmetic chemist, for example, designed specifically for small and micro businesses. And in addition to manufacturing, we also provide wraparound services around marketing, branding,
Mm-hmm.
ingredient sourcing, helping you with figuring out what's the best packaging, right? Sourcing that packaging for you, helping you to ethically source ingredients. Because one of the things that our facility is very committed to is creating and supporting businesses that want to be sustainable and businesses
Mm.
that want to be ethical in terms of ensuring that their business model is supporting equity, is supporting inclusion, as well as ensuring that we are eradicating poverty within our supply chains.
Wow. Wow. Well, it sounds like you built something, well, it's purpose built for small businesses. How can people connect with you and if they're interested in learning more about manufacturing in general, but maybe specifically, potentially exploring, using your facility?
Yeah, I would just say that, our facility, one of the core elements of our belief is you can't sell what you can't make. And who makes our products and how those products are made are incredibly important. So
Mm-hmm.
we welcome partnerships and we welcome being in community with other entrepreneurs who are in the beauty space. They
Mm-hmm.
can reach out to us through some of the platforms that we're very active on, including LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and Instagram and TikTok. So Yeleen Beauty is the platform that they can connect with us on. LinkedIn and Instagram, and then on TikTok, it's Shea Yeleen. And then, of course, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn as well, Rahama Wright. And if they want to express interest in being part of our community or leveraging our manufacturing services, they can send us a note by going to YeleenBeauty.com.
Got it. Got it. Well, that sounds great, and I hope people are able to connect with you and create some great products with you. One question that I'm getting pretty regularly is, I know you identified this problem based on your experience and started working on this, several years ago.
Mhm.
The moment that we're in now with, tariffs and this uncertainty around supply chain, are you expecting to see a bigger trend when it comes to local manufacturing or smaller manufacturing? Do you think you're kind of leading this trend given where the market is, or do you still expect the bigger facilities to be able to dominate, I guess, as they have in the past?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say it's too early to tell, right? Every day is
Hmm.
kind of new in terms of the information we're getting. However, I do know that because we are one of very few solutions for early
Hmm.
stage and small businesses and micro businesses, I do expect this trend to look for local manufacturing partners to be on the rise. And I
Mm-hmm.
also think, from a policy perspective, local governments are looking at how they can support local manufacturing and maker communities
Yeah.
within their neighborhoods. And I, want to give a shout out to the mayor's office, the DC mayor's office, and the deputy mayor for planning and economic development. They were
Mm-hmm.
one of our first investors. They gave us grant funding to build out our space, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
this is indicative of what we're seeing across the country. There's a huge Made in Baltimore program, for example, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just very close to us, one of our neighbors. And then when we look at other places like Detroit, another place where there's a huge investment in supporting local entrepreneurs that make products locally. And I would say that we are on trend. But with all of this interest in supporting local manufacturing, there hasn't been a lot of emphasis on beauty, right? We see other
Mm-hmm.
categories. We see jewelry makers, carpenters, wood
Mm-hmm.
makers, food entrepreneurs, apparel brands. The list goes on and on. But for
Mm-hmm.
beauty, there really is a gap. And so I do know that being able to demonstrate that you can create an ecosystem to support local beauty manufacturers and support local beauty makers and build community, I think that, we're first to market on this, but I don't think we'll be
Mm-hmm.
the last.
Got it. Got it. Well, congrats again on what you and your team have been able to build. I know
Thank
you're
you.
having a great impact for the with the entrepreneurs you're already working with, and will continue to with others. This local manufacturing trend is definitely something that we're seeing around the country, but the bigger trend is people are starting businesses like never before. Literally,
Yes.
if you go back 5 years, every year in the United States has been a new record in terms of the number of businesses that people are starting. People are saying, hey, I have an idea.
Yeah.
I want to set out and I want to build something great. And it's my hope, and I know it's yours as well, that we can create an environment in which all of the new businesses started, all of the entrepreneurs have an opportunity to compete. Not everybody's going to succeed. We know the rates of small business closure, but we want to have an environment in which everyone can compete, and having manufacturing options that are right size for small business certainly is a part of that healthy environment. So, Rama, thanks again for joining us this evening. I know you've got to run, but entrepreneurs, hopefully you'll take the opportunity to connect with her, and definitely wishing you success in the future. Rahama, thanks again for joining us for our National Small Business Week conversation focused on making your product. What an incredible story she has, starting as a returned Peace Corps volunteer, building a global business, and now creating a manufacturing space designed especially for small businesses. I hope you all learned a few things and were inspired by her story, as I was. And thanks also to the audience for joining us for our National Small Business Week events this week. This is the third event in our series. We started out on Monday live in Chicago, Illinois at Drive Capital with Peter Dannenberg, a senior AI engineer at Google. Peter and I talked about some of the latest trends at the intersection of AI and small business. And then we worked one on one with entrepreneurs who brought in AI ideas and challenges. On Wednesday, we connected virtually with Bags CEO Daniel Taylor. Daniel has raised millions of dollars for a number of businesses using a number of capital options, and he's built Bags to help entrepreneurs get their financing, accounting, and bookkeeping in order to make sure that you can access capital. So we talked about his story. And of course, in this dynamic environment in which we find ourselves, where any announcement from government and private sector can change things at the drop of a hat, how do you know how much capital you need? And how do you make sure that you have access to it when you need it to be able to respond appropriately and grow your business? Great conversation with them. And of course, we ended our series today with Yeleen Beauty CEO Rahama Wright sharing her story and why she built the the Yeleen Makerspace, again, a manufacturing facility specifically built for small businesses. So I hope you've learned something from all of these entrepreneurs. If you missed one of the conversations, you can view those on our YouTube page, and there's blog posts with summaries of each of the conversations on my LinkedIn page. I'm Brandon Andrews, CEO of The Inexorable. If you are interested in pitching to be on Shark Tank, visit sharkpitches.biz to submit your information today. I'm excited to hear more about what you're working on. And happy National Small Business Week. I hope that you, as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, understand how important the work that you do every day is, not just to your family and to your local community, but to our broader economy, nationally and internationally. The economy relies on small businesses for job creation, innovation, and support when it comes to GDP. We can't move forward and achieve our goals if you're not moving forward and achieving your goals. I'm excited to see you and your business continue to grow. Reach out if I can be helpful with anything, and we'll see you next time.